Alright, hello and welcome back everybody, this is Ace. So we finished doing Nomer again, and it was my mistake that we did it at level 34. I think we should have done it at level 30, but we kind of still got the point across. We just wanted to see how the ranged DPS priest was doing, and as I expected, his damage is pretty bad, but he is doing off healing, so you'll have to figure that out on your own if that's something that you need or not. We'll use the ranged DPS priest later on at higher level, just so we can get a look at how the power infusion and the pain suppression work and if they're really helpful and whatnot. From my own personal limited testing, they are, but don't take my word for it. We'll just do it together and we'll see. There was one issue during the run that I said I would look into, and I have. And in particular, we couldn't heal Emmy short fuse here. I didn't understand why, and I looked at the code. And as it turns out, Emmy here is not really a friendly target. So even if I personally try to heal her, it will not go through. This is like a client thing, core deep thing. She just cannot be healed. So it's not companion error, it's just, it is what it is. Even if we try to damage her a little bit. Yeah, you see the companion's complaining about it, he cannot do it. But if we go to, I don't know, Stormwind, because I tested this right before we did the Nomeregan run, and it worked just fine. I just took this guy and you see, immediately he can heal him and everything is fine. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with Emmy there. She's not really a friendly target. I presume it has something to do with the flags in the database, and maybe she's flagged as some kind of faction that's like neutral sort of type of deal. I don't know, maybe that's the deal. Well, either way, just protect her and she'll do her job. Let's get rid of this guy. I'm sorry, Melegan. Okay, so what are we doing in this video? Well, we took a look at so far the warrior, the paladin, the hunter, the rogue, and the priest. So next down the list is the shaman, and we'll start with the shaman tank in order. Wait, what dungeon are we doing? I think we're doing Razorfen Kraul. Can I teleport there? Yes, I guess I can. Cool. So, shaman tank, some people say it's a meme. It's a meme to laugh at, or maybe he's actually pretty good. I guess we'll find out in this video, won't we? We need a healer. I don't know, flip a coin, a paladin or a priest. Let's go with the Z paladin for no reason really. We're always gonna take the hunter just because he's been top DPS until now, and we wanna see if anybody can beat him. Let's do warrior just because of the demoralizing and the thunderclaps. I know he's missing out on the deeps, but the shaman tank is not particularly tanky. I know he's kind of failing the job description already, right? Because he's wearing leather and all the other guys are, well, they got some other things going for them, but he can actually do it. So he is wearing leather and all, but he got the shield. He does take shield specialization. He does take guardian totems, in particular for the stone skin totem. The stone skin totem is probably one of the better damage mitigating effects when it comes to tanking multiple creatures, so makes him just naturally good at doing dungeons, not so good at doing raids, but for dungeons is fine. After landing a melee critical strike, you enter a focus state, which reduces the mana cost of your next shot by 60%. That's a nice addition in TBC. They obviously use shocks, in particular Earth Shock, which is, you know, kind of their only big threat generating ability. Unlike the Paladins, who just buff themselves with Righteous Fury or whatever it's called, and then they generate more threat, these guys really do rely on the shocks. So the shocks need to go out quite often and they need to strike true. He's also... Oh, okay, never mind. I strike that, I take that back. They do have Rockbiter weapon, I forgot about it. Right, so they have a weapon, they have a talent to upgrade the Rockbiter weapon. It's nice. It's Rockbiter weapon as opposed to Wind Fury weapon is just consistent damage. They're probably like similar in damage output, except that Rockbiter is, yeah, just consistent, and that's really important when we're talking about tanking. You need to be more consistent. I think in general the Shaman tank relies on dodge, right? So if you think of dodge, what does dodge give you? Dodge gives you crit, gives you armor, gives you... I'm sorry, what does agility give you? It gives you crit, armor, dodge, which is exactly everything that's going on here. You have dodge here, you have synergy with the crits. Of course you need the armor, especially because he's wearing leather. So yeah, just smack as much agility on this guy as possible. Let me see, what sort of gear is he using? Lo and behold, everybody, I gave him monkey gear, which has agility and stamina. That's exactly right. And you might be wondering, but does that guy... I mean, normally you wouldn't really think as agility as a damage stat, right? Well, except for rogues and hunters. But I mean, for a melee guy, where have you seen that for a melee guy? Well, again, not ignoring the rogue and the hunter. Nowhere else, right? Because the warrior kind of wants to go for the strength, because the strength gives him block amount. The block amount synergizes with his shield block ability, which synergizes with his revenge. So he's got a whole synergy there with the strength and the block amount, so he kind of wants to be in strength land. Of course, agility is not bad for the warrior either, because avoiding things also triggers his revenge there, so that's great. Druids kind of want strength as well. Like druids, you can give them agility, but that's kind of meh. Yeah, usually just give them a lot of life and a lot of strength, and they deal a lot. Well, the gear, right? Because this is of the monkey, and they have a whole suffix called of the bear, which gives strength and stamina. So obviously, they want to have a bear. Yeah, again, for tanks, agility is good, but it's just particularly good for the shamans, just because it synergizes so much with the crits and the dodges and the poops and the totem of air, whatever, and all that jazz. But of course they have their own limitations, right? They don't have a talent, they're rather squishy, they're missing armor because they're wearing leather, they're missing life because they just are, and they don't really have anything else to that stands out defensive wise. So he's relying on dodging poops, and he's relying on the stone shield totem to mitigate a lot of these small hits. So again, I'm not talking about raids, I'm talking strictly about, let's say, open world content and dungeons. So I guess we'll just see. I don't really need to prop him up because we'll just test and see how it goes. I suppose we could even have tested him in the lower dungeons, because he's a little bit of an unknown to a lot of people, but well, maybe we'll just take him more in the upcoming dungeons, because ultimately lower dungeons are nice, but everybody wants to know about big boys anyway. So let's set debug on. I think what makes the shamans have a lot in common, I would say, with the paladins, or they have some similarities to them. Namely, a lot of their rotation isn't even about their spells, because they don't really have that many things to do. I should have come with the shaman so I can look at the spells. But they don't really have that much to do. They mostly just rely on their totems, and their totems do provide quite a lot of group benefit. But a lot of the logic, or most of the logic of the companions, really is about the totems. Just like for the paladins, it was about the blessings. And apart from that, yeah, he's just gonna Earth Shock. He's gonna use rank 1 to silence opponents. He's gonna use max rank to get threat back, or if he's only fighting one target, he'll just spam it on cooldown. He is also checking for target immunity, so it's possible that some targets are immune to nature, fire, frost. So when he decides to Earth Shock, he's also gonna check the immunities, and if that target is in particular immune to earth damage or something, he's gonna he's gonna check the other ones and make the same decision there. Apart from that, well, let me look at the code so I don't tell you from my memory. Yeah, he's gonna keep Rockbiter on. He's gonna use a Stone Shield Potion like the other tanks as well. He's probably gonna benefit from it even more than the others, so his gains are great. Later on, he's gonna use Storm Strike. The cool part about should have come with the Shaman. The cool part about the Storm Strike, you know, I can just come with the Shaman. Actually, I should level myself to 30, because I think 34 is too much for this dungeon anyway. So let's go RFK. Let's reset spells. Let's X init tank 30. I think 30 should be enough. Let's get the Shaman guy going again. Paladin healer, warrior DPS, and a hunter. Cool, now we can actually look at the spells. So Earthshock, he's gonna use that for, again, for town purposes. So he's gonna hold on to that if he's fighting multiple opponents, and when someone needs a taunt, he's just gonna Earthshock it. It's rather questionable if that's the right or the correct way to go about it, but considering it's a 6-second cooldown, if you just use it on cooldown all the time, you may actually not have it when you need it. Maybe. Or maybe it's acceptable to not have it always when you need it, and just when, if you just use it, well, okay, hold on, because I'm getting ahead of myself. This class, or the Shaman tank, cannot sustain a lot of Earthshocks, okay? So we're gonna put that thought to rest, because it's just not possible. Earthbind totem, so so in his logic he has a priority of totems. I can pull up the totem poopy assignments just to look at them quickly. Actually, the totem assignments are part of his combat logic, so that's where I'll find them. You can also just set their totems in the same way that you could set the blessings of the paladins. And I'll show you that in a second. Let's just talk about his general poopy stuff. So for earth totems, in the priority would be Stone Skin Totem, which, as you'd expect, that's the most important one for tanking. You should drop that first. So in the same way the paladins coordinate their blessings, the same way the shamans coordinate their totems, with you as well, so it doesn't matter if it's a companion or not. As in, if you have two companion shamans or you, and they both try to drop an earth totem, which one will they drop? Well, let's say the first one of them will drop a Stone Skin Totem, and the second shaman should realize there's a Stone Skin Totem on the ground, and he should drop the next one in line, which in this case would be a Strength of Earth Totem, and ultimately there's an Earth Bite Totem in there just for shits and giggles. I don't really expect to see this being used too often. They would actually use this during lower levels, because that's one of the first ones you unlock. The movement speed reduction that comes from it is pretty good. If you think about how many times the tank loses aggro, I don't mean the shaman in particular, even the other ones like the warrior, whomever, right? So having some slow in there really can help a little bit. with getting to whomever's, you know, the stray NPCs a little bit quicker. Then he's gonna drop an air totem, which is gonna be first a Grace of Air he'll try. Grace of Air gives him a lot of agility, and as we've discussed, agility is really key to the Shaman for all the good reasons. Everything that agility provides, the Shaman tank wants badly. Second, after Grace of Air, he's gonna drop a Wind Fury totem. Wind Fury totems are not useful to the tank or the melee shamans because they use Wind Fury weapon instead, which gives them a higher benefit. Well, obviously the tank is using Rock Biter weapon, so they only drop that for you especially. But the tank being the tank, he don't care about your feelings, about your DPS. That's why you should get the melee DPS shaman if you want that. But then again, you can just disagree with me and say, hey, set totem. I don't know what totems they have access to right now. Set totem, Wind Fury totem. Again, he doesn't know it. I don't know when they learn it. But that's how you do it, right? So you could manually tell them to cast something different if you really want to have a Shaman tank and a Wind Fury totem as the first air totem that he drops. Obviously, the first and only, because he can only have one totem per element. But either way, he's going to go with the Grace of Air if he knows it. If he doesn't, he's going to try and win the Fury totem. If he doesn't know that, he's going to go with Wrath of Air totem. And that's that. Wrath of Air, I believe, is like a high level stuff, right? Like a TBC totem that gives spell damage or something. I hope I'm not mistaken about that. Then he's gonna try to drop a water totem. And here, the first one he tries to drop is Mana Tide totem. That gives him mana regen. The shamans do have mana issues, so it's pretty important to drop that. Also, Mana Tide is actually the talent. Mana Spring, which is the next totem, is the default one he learns. Again, the Shaman tanks don't go for Mana Tide. Mana Tide is over here. But you could theoretically, well, I don't know, because Legacy Companions, and also because you could just hire a healer Shaman and then set his role to tank. It exists in the realm of possibilities, and therefore I felt obliged to add that in. And ultimately he's gonna drop a Healing Stream totem. That's probably the first water totem he learns, so in the early stages that's most likely the one you'll see. As far as the fire totems are concerned, he's gonna try to drop Totem of Wrath, if I'm not mistaken, is this one from the caster tree, which increases the critical hit of spells by 3%. That's pretty damn good, right? Again, Shaman tanks are not going for the caster tree, but you could hire an elemental shaman and convert his role. Is possible, so that's why he needs to be in there. They also try to cast a new totem, which is the fire elemental totem. This one allegedly deals a lot of damage. The only problem with this totem, I think, is just the cooldown, because the cooldown is kind of abysmal. I think it's like 20 minutes or something. We'll see later. It's a TPC spell, so we won't run into it too soon. Then he's got Fire Nova totem. That's the AoE suicidal totem. Then he's got the Magma totem. That's the AoE persistent totem. And ultimately the Searing totem, which is kind of like a damage over time effect, really. It just deals damage over time. They do have some other conditions for using those, whatever. So that's going on with the totems. That's mostly, and again, they'll coordinate. So if you have like 5 shamans in the party and they each have to drop totems, you better believe each and every one of them, like, they will drop different totems, right? So they know, right? Even if it's you who drops the totems, they'll just know. So there's that going for them. It's the same with the paladins, really, and all the other things. He's also doing some self-healing in the same way the Paladin tank was doing. If he's got fewer than 3 attackers and all the mobs are being tanked. So if he's tanking all the mobs and he's below 50% HP and he's got less than 3 attackers, 3 or less, then he's gonna try to heal himself, similar to what the Paladin was doing. And you actually saw the Paladin doing it, and I think I even pointed it out that it actually helped. Then he has some logic to determine if he's gonna use Earth Shield or Water Shield or Lightning Shield. I think Earth Shield is the best, but Earth Shield comes from the Restoration tree. So again, take that as a caveat. This allows you, what this does, it heals you when you get damaged, so it's pretty cool. And if I'm not mistaken, the healing threat, the threat generated from the heal from the Earth Shield goes to whomever you cast the shield on. So if you cast it on the tank, then the threat would go to the tank. Similar to how Prayer of Mending worked for the priest, so that's pretty nice, right? So in the priority, he would go for the Earth Shield. Then he will also go for the Water Shield if he doesn't have Earth Shield. He'll go for the Water Shield if his mana is below 50%. Otherwise, he's gonna use the Lightning Shield. The Lightning Shield deals damage to enemies who attack the Shaman, and they generate threat. So start strong. You see that he's already cast a Lightning Shield. I don't know if he's got Water Shield at this level. Probably not. Okay, so other things he's doing, he's going to interrupt spellcasters, like I said, with rank 1 Earth Shock. He's got some low priority dispels, like Purge, Cure Poison, Cure Disease, that sort of thing. He may also do Flame Shock for additional damage. So the highest damage dealing shock that he has is the Flame Shock. But we have to account for the time to kill as per usual, because in order for this to be good, it needs to actually run its full course. Otherwise, Earth Shock would be better. So if you calculate the Pupisen, you'll find that yeah, it's better than Earth Shock, but you need to really make use of it. Of course, they're never really gonna be accurate with Swiss precision on that one, but it is what it is. And he's also gonna try to spread it around. So if he doesn't really need to taunt anybody, he's just gonna throw Flame Shocks around. Cool. And that's it. That's literally it. Nothing more. It's just like with the Paladins. The hardest part about coding the Shamans was literally the totems and figuring out the synergies there, the synchronization, all that jazz. So, all right, let's... oh, I guess I forgot to mention, out of combat, when I send him to attack stuff, he'll open up either with Lightning Bolt or with Chain Lightning. If he's got it, I guess this time he doesn't have it, he's still low level. None of this other stuff matters, like Astral Recall, Far Sight, these are for you to use, maybe. Yeah, Flame Tongue Totem, that's maybe if you kind of want to do some kind of casting build, and you can actually make use of this. What you need for this is spell power and like a fast attacking weapon, something like that. So that would be the idea there. I'm building them standard, I would say, like a warrior, like I'm building them on physical. So, but again, if you have, actually, I don't know. I guess I haven't really taken into account what about legacy if you try to do that. Maybe I'll just wait until someone complains, because this is such a niche thing. Yeah. I guess we'll see. But that'll be the idea there. I don't really know. Maybe just play it yourself, you know? Why don't you play this stuff yourself? Because it's the sort of thing you really need to benchmark it or to theory craft it a little bit, and it's not particularly important for what I'm doing here. So, oh, one thing I should mention perhaps, let's go outside for a second. You remember if you watched the previous video with the hunter, and we do have a hunter with us, cool. Let's just kill this guy so it doesn't get in the way. So do you remember with the hunter I said if you use, yeah, more movement issues, yeah. If you use aspect of the cheetah, the hunter would use it as well. And I said that if you have a shaman and you use ghost wolf, then he would use it as well. And lo and behold, he used the ghost wolf. The hunter used the aspect of the cheetah. If you had a druid with the travel form, he'd be using that. So maybe that's interesting to you, because for example, you see, because we're going faster and we're leaving all these other guys behind. Maybe you can, let's say if you're questing, right? Think about it. If you're questing and you're trying to get around the map quicker and you're wondering what to hire, maybe this can be, you can factor this in, right? I mean, ultimately the companions teleport to you, so yeah. I guess it's just for some role-playing purposes more than anything. I just wanted to show you, just so you know that it is in there and it exists. Grounding totem, I have that in the vanilla logic. I think I removed it in the TBC logic because this is the sort of thing that you really have to know what you're doing. This is, it's first of all, you can just ask them to cast it, right? I cast grounding totem and he would drop it, right? So you can just do that without any other thing happening, right? But it's extremely situational. I don't even know for sure where exactly that is useful. Even in vanilla I struggle to figure that out. I think for one boss in Naxxramas I may have tried to use this for some projectile denying whatever, man. You'll have to figure it out on your own. Nature resistance totem, he doesn't do this. I don't give them automatically resistance totems, neither do I give the paladins the resistance auras, because I want you to do it, because it honestly depends. You could say, well, if you're doing molten core you should just use fire resistance. Oh really? Well, little do you know. Well, I'm joking, but some bosses in molten core and Blackwing Lair and other raids, like, they don't all just do fire damage, they do other types of damage. So if I force them into dropping fire resistance totems, then I kind of sabotage you, and I also don't really know what you're doing, because maybe you don't need it. Maybe you'll be like, I'm good, chica, just go ham and smash ass and who cares. And yeah, so if you want it, you're just gonna have to whisper him set totem nature resistance totem, and he's gonna assign that, and instead of whatever earth totem he was dropping, so instead of stone shield he would now, oh, it's, never mind, it's an air totem. So instead of grace of air, he's now dropping the nature resistance totem. Set totem cancel. How do you cancel that? There you go. You type in set totem cancel and removes the assignments, and now he's just gonna use the default ones. Rock biter, he should just keep this stuff up on all the time. The shaman, melee, and the tank are probably the only ones that are not going to benefit from you enchanting your weapon, right? So because they have their own enchants, so they are better than an actual weapon enchantment, so they don't care about that. Stone skin totem is the most important one for tanking. We talked about this. Water breathing and water walking is something that they do. Where can I go? Manethil, right? So if you jump into water, yeah, you see he started giving me the poopy sense. I don't think it gives the companions water walking because they don't really water walk. I don't know. Don't, again, any movement related stuff, I don't know. So he gives the other companions water breathing, which the companions can drown. So if you are doing some water related quest, whatever, and you don't have this stuff, they're gonna drown. And your options are Shaman, Warlock, Water Breathing Potion from Alchemy. You craft it yourself, right? And they're gonna drink that as well. So this stuff works. Let's go back. And Wind Fury weapon is something for the melee shamans to use. This is revived. They should use this. Cure disease, cure poison. This is a low priority stuff they'll use. They're probably gonna use a healing stream totem because they don't have the mana regen one yet. Again, they're gonna heal themselves sometime. Oh, they do have the mana regen. Never mind. They don't use the poison cleansing totem. Again, this is something that you should figure out and ask them to do, because this is extremely situational. Like if you're fighting some boss and you know, hey, this guy is gonna do a lot of that stuff, you're gonna just whisper him to assign this water totem and he'll drop it, and then Bob's your uncle. I don't know, it's so extremely situational that even writing a single line of code is basically a waste, because 99.99% of the time they're not gonna use it, and it's just gonna waste the processor for it. They should be using reincarnation, and if they don't, they should be. So I don't remember, they do in vanilla, but I don't remember if I've implemented it yet. I guess we'll find out if he happens to die. Totemic Call, he uses this out of combat. So out of combat, he checks to see if he has any totems on the ground, and he uses this Totemic Call to bring them back. It's arguable, honestly. You may deny it if you think so, because maybe if you're fighting packs back to back, then you may not want the totems to go away. I don't know. I don't know you. You figure it out. So otherwise, they're gonna use it. I know we had problems in vanilla, especially at Onyxia. We were fighting the dragonkin whatever before the boss, and he would drop the totems, and when we'd go inside to fight Onyxia, his totems would still be in the back, and the dragonkin would respawn all of them when the fight starts with Onyxia, and the totems would pull aggro. And we often consider that it would be nice to have this in vanilla as well. But you have it in TPC, they're gonna use it out of combat if they have totems out. So that is the gist of it. Let's look at the damage meter and get a move on. Yeah. Did I set debug on the other guy whom we've despawned? There we go. Debug on Earthshock, Searing Totem. Again, it dropped the stones, the Earth one, the Stone Skin, the Healing one, and the Fire one in that order. I want to mention something, I guess I haven't mentioned it in any other video. When you do pull back, all the tanks kind of try to use a ranged attack. So the warriors would use their bow. Paladins don't really have anything to use until they gain the Avenger Shield, the shield bounce ability. But that one, it comes a little bit later. So Paladins, until they get that one, they just face tank. They just walk in the face of the enemy, and once they get their aggro, they come back to the original position. Druids use Fairy Fire, but they don't have that too soon. I don't remember if it's a talent or whatever. And Shamans use either lightning poops or the other lightning poops, the chain lightning. So one of those. All right. So we're gonna test that just so you can see that happening. If we do a pullback, you're gonna go in, and the server crashed, everybody. Looks like I made some fucked up shit. Let's see how I fucked up. There you go. That's why we're doing this, everybody. Yeah, it crashed exactly for the pullback. Let's see what happened. Right. Well, what happened is that he doesn't know chain lightning, and I try to access something he doesn't know. So working with null pointers is gonna be a bad day for you. There you go. Glad we did this. You see, everybody, that's why I'm doing these videos, because It's a lot to go through and it's easy to make a mistake. Not that I excuse it, I am a banana, but yeah, nonetheless, mistake have been made. Mistakes. So let me see. Yes, that looks fixed to me. I'm gonna restart the server. It's gonna take 20 seconds or so, and we'll have to rehire them. But good news, everyone. At least we crashed at the very start of the dungeon, so we didn't have to redo a whole bunch of it. Good times. So he's supposed to use Chain Lightning if he knows it, which is... I still don't like this implementation. I don't like this implementation. Give me a second, because I don't like what's going on here. No, I don't like this implementation because I want to say use Chain Lightning if you have it and if you can. And if you cannot, then try to use Lightning Bolt. And the way I did it now is not really gonna do that. So let me correct my correction. Like that and like this. Cool. Okay, that will do what I said it will do, right? So they'll look at Chain Lightning, see if they can use it, and if they cannot, then they're gonna use Lightning Bolt. That looks better. Okay, still restarting. We're fixing this live, everybody. Well, I'm recording, so we're not really live, but you get my gist. Alright, so give me Shaman tank, Paladin healer, Warrior DPS, and Hunter DPS. Set debug on. Set circle, Puppy Sen. Okay. Let's hope the third time's the charm. Let's test this. Am I inside? That's what she said or asked. Yes, it does work now, apparently. Yeah, it looks good now. But we're gonna do another test anyway. So he's dropping Stone Skin Totem, Mana Spring Totem, and the guy was dead. He's gonna Totemic Coldom now. Cool. Let's do a pullback here. There we go. He's gonna cast Lightning Bolt. Cool. Let's do a start. I see that he's used a Flame Shock. Again, it's perfectly possible for him to choose to use Flame or Frost Shock if the target is immune to fire or nature, as it depends. And some mobs are kind of immune. And when I say kind of, I mean they're really immune, so that's why it has to be that way. But also he's gonna spread around Flame Shock, so it's hard to say at this point. But there's nothing much more to say about this. I mean, the totems again are really the brunt of their logic, and their general rotation is rather simplistic, so for the rest of the dungeon we can just remain in silence, I suppose, because I don't really... The Hunter is still top DPS. We'll see if that remains the case. I think the Shaman is very good at dealing damage, but I don't know. Hunters, man, call me crazy, but in every dungeon until now they've been top DPS. Maybe the Shamans will have something to say about that. I'm not like an expert in these dungeons. I'll try to remember where the hell I'm supposed to go. I thought there was like somewhere on the left somehow. Did I miss it or did I go the wrong way? I'm confused. I thought there was some on the left. Shit. Well, I'm sorry everybody. Let's go right then. I want to land somewhere on the left side, but not through that trench down below. That's kind of where we return from. So let's go this way then. You see he's casting Lightning Shield in combat, and his mana is pretty low, but his totems are out, and yeah, like at this point, whatever, man. Like that's the most important thing. Just drop the totems and the rest kind of takes care of that or of itself. I think one of the problems with the Shamans, and it's kind of what I tried to do with the legendary one, the legendary weapon in vanilla for Shamans, is to make the fire totems add aggro directly to the Shaman. It's a little bit sketchy without that, but yeah. I guess this is a problem. I don't really want him to like cast the lightning bolt and then cast a second one. That's not exactly correct in my mind. And I thought I did some steps to prevent that from happening, but apparently I didn't do a good job. But yeah, I guess we'll keep an eye on it to see if it happens often. And if it does, then I'll have to take another look at it. If you remember, the Paladin tanks are doing some pretty good damage as well, so the Shaman has some pretty big steps to fill. What about his weapon? His weapon is good. I don't know, it's just the fucking hunters, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad they're doing fine, it's just, can no one beat these guys? No one, come on, man. Can one class please beat the hunters? One thing I should say is that obviously the Shaman is not good at AoE tanking for obvious reasons. I mean, his one threat ability is on a 6-second cooldown. His totems don't generate threat for the Shaman himself, so each totem generates threat for itself. So each totem is kind of like its own creature in a sense. Well, not in a sense, it's exactly like that. So he's not good at AoE tanking situations, so I would recommend you not try to do that. Moreover, the ones who synergize better with him are the classes who don't have a lot of AoE as well, like warriors and rogues. So don't take a Shaman tank and expect him to hold aggro for a mage and a warlock or something. It's probably most likely not gonna end up with good times, I'm just saying. So kind of know what you're doing. Oh, Warriors have unlocked Slam, everybody, but their damage is still sucky. I think they don't have talents in it yet, do they? What weapon does this guy have? Like, pretty good weapon. But yeah, no points into Slam at this point. Oh! The situation is aggravating here. Well, it's sloppy, but they got the job done. I played the Shaman tank myself and I can confirm this is what it looks like when you're Shaman tanking. Just because you don't really have as good tools as the Paladin, which is crazy in TPC. I think I remember there's a boss around here, so let's go kill him. The cool part about the warriors is that they're wearing plate, and actually the warrior DPS is perfectly capable of tanking as well. I mean, he can take a hit or two in plate armor. In fact, tanking as a two-handed arms warrior is kind of a thing. So, yeah, the warrior can take over for the shaman every now and then, no problem. Yeah, so I guess he is double casting that lightning stuff. I'm not too happy about that. Maybe I'll just note it down and try to fix it. So, Shaman, tank, double casting lightning bolt on pullback. I'll look into it after the video. You notice that I just destroyed one of these totems. The companions basically ignore them, so that will be your responsibility.
Open fire! Victory for Gamagan.
Cool, cool. You see the Paladin is doing Blessing of Freedom on the tank. That's pretty nice. I like that. Oh, not good, not good, not good. Oh, too late now. Actually, maybe not too late. Let's corner pull here. Let's also throw a bomb just to speed things up a little bit. Yep, in bombs we trust.
meddlesome whelps! I'll teach you to interfere!
Open fire!
You outsiders will pay for encroaching on our land! Bah! My power rules here! Who's next?
Well, there we go, everybody. I think we should end it here. I know you can still go down there and do some kind of escorting quest thingy poops, but this is technically the final boss, so we're gonna leave it here. It doesn't really need to be any longer, this test, because we get the point by now. His damage is fine. I mean, the damage is on paper acceptable. I think normally it should be even higher, at least from my tests, and also on vanilla it's usually like the top DPS. The hunters are just, I don't know. I don't even know if I can take credit for them. It's just kind of eerie that they're still undefeated top DPS. But yeah, and he didn't particularly have any great bow either, so it's hard to say. Well, he did have a lot of good agility gear, so yeah, like the rest of his gear is pretty good. This guy had some pretty decent gear as well. I don't know. Hunters. Yeah. Hate them or love them. I don't know. But they are what they are. The Shaman, from my personal perspective, does struggle to keep aggro, especially at the beginning, trying to get aggro off of everybody. So doing Z pullbacks is definitely a good idea. I'm going to look into it after this video. Why was he double casting the lightning bolt, and if I can stop him. I'm sure I'll come up with a solution for that one. But yeah, it's kind of clunky, sluggish type of poops. But if you, I don't know, have some kind of Shaman fantasy, or you want to try something different than the warrior, a paladin, and the druid, then this can be it. The damage, I would say, is kind of similar to what the paladin was doing, but then again, when you consider that the paladin is also doing AoE, so he's actually holding a whole bunch of stuff. Actually, if you are to take it the other way around, the fact that the shaman does very good damage that is just single target, and he's doing this much of it, just imagine how crazy that single target actually is to keep up with the hunter and stuff like that. So I think after he gets his air totem, he's gonna do even better than this, but don't take my word for it. We'll just look into it when the time comes. We'll have more opportunities to test this. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video. We'll look at the Shaman Healer.